claim space in this paddock, a manufacturer must have unqualified confidence in his product. With an excellent record of past achievement in the race behind them, the Standard Triumph team once again came to Le Mans. 3 Triumph Spitfires, with one of the new 2 litres as service car. Ray Henderson, chief mechanic, and John Lloyd, assistant chief engineer, well knew how demanding was the task which confronted them and their team. Long hours of patient research and development had gone into the preparation of the cars. High port aluminium head, high lift cam, increased compression ratio, special aerodynamic GT body and glass fiber and aluminium. An interesting and a genuine production prototype from which much could be learned. Different people come to Le Mans for different reasons, but the Spitfire's drivers reflect the essentially international atmosphere of the race. In motor racing, nothing is certain, but as far as their preparation was concerned, the Triumph team seemed to have things pretty well taped. Pit manager Lyndon Mills plays host to the Swiss distributor Pierre Blanc, while the group accountant, Mr. Boardman, maintains a watching brief. But the presiding genius and the chief engineer of this project in every sense was Harry Webster himself. Heading the drivers, one of the up-and-coming names in British racing, David Hobbs. Bob Tullius from the United States. From France, J.L. Marnard, a newcomer to the Triumph team. And from Holland, Robbie Slottermacher, displaying an unusual taste in hats. And talking of hats, at Le Mans you can see just about everything. From the commercial to the bizarre. From the traditional, the deerstalker of John Bolster, to the tropical. But when the law gives the lead, it's bound to be worth following up. Strictly for the record, of course. And here's modern television in action. If you can't cover the cars, cover the cameraman. France was, as usual, represented by the smaller capacity cars. From Germany, a strong Porsche entry. All British, the Team Elite Lotus. Anglo-American, Carroll Shelby's AC Cobras. Old-timer, the E-Type Jaguar. Newcomer, the Sunbeam Tiger with the big American Ford V8 engine. But certainly the most publicized entry of them all, the 3 official works team cars from Ford America to challenge Ferrari. And Ferrari had no less than 144 pistons between them. In the pre-race personality parade, some faces may need a label. Not so the sad little figure of Pedro Rodriguez, now without his brother, nor that merry little American Richie Ginther. Last-minute news of practice times and driver changes builds up the circulation and the excitement as the final touches of preparation are completed. Fuel from the official supply only, metered through the complex permanent installation of the pits. Elsewhere, there's room for individual choice. But the regulations of Le Mans are both unique and uncompromising, and the unofficial breaking of any seal for a premature oil or fuel stop means instant disqualification. If everything stops for tea in England, in France it stops even longer for lunch. And meantime, the Triumph mechanics discover that the pit counter is certainly no soft spot. With 30 minutes to go, the countdown starts. "5 minutes to go, and 55 drivers move to their marks. Number 20 there is Vaccarella, works Ferrari, but he's in trouble. Into the S's for the first time. It's the Ferraris of Rodriguez, Graham Hill, David Piper and Mike Salmons-Aston. Near Park leads the Cobras from Sears. The Fords have made gentle starts and Phil Hill is left on the line. Verrier CD points the tail. And back in the pit area, they've got about 3 minutes left to get themselves sorted out for the 24-hour vigil. Phil Hill gets the works board going at last, while Rodriguez leads Graham Hill and John Surtees, who's moved up, around Arnage. They're on tiptoe in the grandstands, on tenterhooks in the pits. And it's still the 3 Ferraris who lead, Rodriguez, Hill and Surtees flashing past the pits at over 150 miles an hour. But there's been a first lap spin and there's oil on the road. Second time at the S's and now ploughing his way up through the field, Richie Ginther is 4th with the Ford. Still some anxiety. Is anyone missing? There's Hobbs with the leading Spitfire, lapping swiftly but without fireworks, exactly as planned. There's a very great deal at stake, and how many times have chances of success been thrown away by overexcitement in those hectic opening laps? Mike Rothschild with the second Spitfire and Manard with the third. And already the first retirement. David Piper's North American racing team Ferrari with a burst oil filter. The French-entered Lotus Elan was also in trouble. A cruel disappointment so early in the race. Meantime, Richie Ginther has fought his way to the front. Graham Hill, Surtees and Rodriguez now 4th. A ferocious battle for the early lead, with 1 Ford amongst the Ferraris. Increasing activity in the pits. The French-entered Lotus Elan rejoins the struggle, but now the Alpines bring French racing blue into the one place the highly partisan crowd hates to see it. Streamlined lightness makes for speed on the straights, but you need reliability at Le Mans. Bob Tullius, off duty, watches as Masson rejoins. In the Triumph pit, all is well. Amongst the Ferraris, Vaccarella, number 20, has recovered from his poor start. And here, with the Alpines and Chris Lawrence's Deep Sanderson, David Hobbs is happy in his work. Mike Rothschild, too, is well in the groove. Behind Ginther, Surtees now leads Rodriguez and Graham Hill. Here's David Hobbs at the S's. And here's Bob Grossman's GT Ferrari, Manat on the third Spitfire, and Colin Davis's Porsche. Mike Park's Ferrari has been into the pits. Bandini worries. The Alphas too have their problems. Here's Businello's Giulia stopped too soon for the driver's peace of mind. But now the big cars are due in on schedule, and Dan Gurney's at the ready. The leader at the pits, but while Richie Ginther reports that all is well to Ford team manager John Wyer, the Ferraris rush past into the lead. No call for anxiety here. But on the circuit there is a crash on the very fast right-hander under the bridge, and it's Mike Rothschild. A dangerous place indeed to hit the bank, but fortunately the driver is not seriously hurt, thanks largely to the Spitfire's immensely strong structure. However, the car is virtually written off as a result of a touch with one of the big cars overtaking. The marshals are brave and efficient. A multiple accident is avoided. The race roars on. After 2¼ hours, the Spitfires make their first routine stop. As David Hobbs bails out, the mechanics take over. Drivers and team manager confer. Unhurried calm combined with split-second efficiency is the key to success at Le Mans, and the experienced Triumph team works well. The young Dutchman, Robbie Slottermacher, is a driver of great character, and here character and self-discipline are at a premium. Robbie soon settles down to lap as ordered at 4 minutes 58 seconds, 102 miles an hour, as regular as a clock. Graham Hill has retained the wheel and third place to Surtees and Ginther, whilst Guichet has taken number 20 over from Vaccarella and is close behind fourth. The young Frenchman Manat and Pio continue steadily with the second Spitfire, undismayed by all this drama. Innes Ireland's GT Ferrari is now ahead of Phil Hill's Ford, and it seems to be getting misty at Tertre Rouge. The mist becomes a positive fog, always a hazard at Le Mans. But by the time Noble came through, he must have regretted that radar was about the only equipment missing from his huge Issot Revolta. This, however, was no ordinary fog, just the Balisade-Dubois Tiger convincing the other drivers that excessive smoking is a very undesirable habit. Meantime, Peter Proctor and Jimmy Bloomer kept the other Sunbeam breaking through their teammates' clouds. Richie Ginther and Maston Gregory struggled vainly to regain the lead for Ford. And at the famous Hippodrome Cafe, the experts sensed drama again. The Rodriguez Ferrari was out with a damaged cylinder head joint. Once again, an early pacemaker had no more to show for it than a temporary lap record at 131 miles an hour. As dusk crept towards the circuit, Ford hopes faded with the light. The Atwood-Schlesser car caught fire, and the Ginther-Gregory gearbox gave up. In the Triumph pit, Pio prepared to take over from Manat, and the tense sequence, which draws more than 250,000 people each year to Le Mans, was once again executed with smooth efficiency. Time for the pit stop, 2 minutes, 5 seconds. Now it's David Hobbs' turn to tackle the tricky half-light, as Slottermacher is called in with triumph number 50. Time, 8:20 p.m., and the two Spitfires were now averaging over 100 miles an hour, slightly better than planned. Both the privately entered Jaguars were in trouble, and while the crowd started to relax, the drivers settled down for the long, hard struggle of the hours of darkness. Some, perhaps, less calmly than others. The scoreboard showed the mounting number of retirements. The Mike Park Scarfiotti Ferrari was next to go with a broken piston, but Surtees and Bandini still led, now 2.5 minutes ahead of teammates Guichet and Vaccarella, and then Gurney and Bondurant led the GT category with their Cobra. Le Mans at night presents an unforgettable experience of contrasts for all who go there. For the drivers, what rest they can snatch between their spells of intense and arduous concentration. For the crowds, all the distraction and relaxation of a continental holiday. And out on the dark road, the two leading Ferraris closed up. The surviving Ford of Phil Hill and McLaren fell back, and the field progressively dwindled. Dawn comes none too soon to the circuit. The crowd woke to the news of the Ford defeat. The Hill McLaren gearbox had failed at 5 a.m. when they laid fourth. There were 3 Ferraris in the lead. The night, though fine, had taken a heavy toll. Peter Bolton's AC and Baghetti's Ferrari had left the road at speed, and the retirement total had reached 25 cars. Among them, the French-driven Spitfire, which had been eliminated when Mana crashed unconscious from fumes caused by previous damage in a spin. Meantime, the little MGB of Paddy Hopkirk and Andrew Hedges had run steadily on. And so too had the Spitfire of David Hobbs and Robbie Slottermacher. As Robbie reported to team manager Lyndon Mills, neither man nor the car showed much evidence of the fact that they had been racing now for 15 consecutive hours. So routine was the pit stop that Ray Henderson decided he had no need for his megaphone. But John Lloyd's face betrayed something of the tension as David Hobbs took over with 9 hours still to go. Now some strangely assorted struggles were breaking out. Biscaldi's Alpha, for instance, leading Noble's 5.5-litre Iso Revolta with the Belgian Ferrari about to pass. Amongst the Grand Touring cars, battle royal with the lone Gurney Bondurant Cobra number 5 holding off the pursuing Ferrari GTOs and having at 5 a.m. been third behind Surtees number 19 and Vaccarella number 20. The Spitfire's new close-ratio all-synchromesh gearbox was making light of its task, and the car was in fact faster on the straights than the previous 2-litre Triumphs of earlier Le Mans success. The French call this race the Infernal Run. But there surely is the second best possible way of inducing morning sickness. Through the long, bright morning hours, the routine continues. The Spitfire was called in from the signalling post at the end of the straight after each 30 completed laps. But this was to be a major check. Rear suspension, okay. Disc brakes adjusted, note the 4 big carburetors. And through it all, Robbie Slottermarker displayed his teetotal variety of Dutch courage. Full marks to the team, and a bonus for neatness. Throughout the race, the law is much in evidence. Even so, things seem to have a habit of disappearing, even apparently from the pit counter itself. But these boys are determined to miss nothing in the Alpine pit stop. I see you stand like greyhounds, but had Shakespeare seen that, he might have said gorillas. Isn't it astonishing how the legs somehow seem to stretch when you've had a bit of a lie down? And talk about over-geared. On the other hand, this René Bonny crew are certainly wasting no time. The privately entered Dutch Porsche number 33 was now challenging its works colleagues in the class. And now here in the swerves of Indianapolis and Arnage is an opportunity to observe road holding characteristics. Note the understeer on the Hill Bonnier Ferrari. And number 25 there is the Island Mags GT Ferrari, also entered by Maranello of Great Britain. High noon headgear, and even at Le Mans one has to eat. Particularly if you're only there for the holiday. In the paddock, the Rodriguez and Hugus North American Racing Team Ferraris, the French-entered Lotus, and Briggs Cunningham's Cobra. They'll never get it down from there. Innes Ireland and Tony Maggs have their worries with the Maranello Ferrari and watch their chances of the GT victory vanish. But the big moments come when the leading car pit stops. Vaccarella and Guichet have now got a stranglehold on the race with their 3.3-litre Ferrari prototype. Hill and Bonnier, with the similar Maranello-entered car, are 7 laps down. Surtees and Bandini have dropped back to third, but it's a Ferrari benefit for the outright victory. However, Le Mans is much more than just one motor race. Only a big prototype of over 3 litres can possibly hope to complete the greatest distance in the 24 hours. The Triumph team were here to prove the Spitfire's speed and reliability to the world in the best way possible. And they were succeeding as the weary hours dragged on. Vaccarella and Guichet in the lead. Hill and Bonnier second, but now number 24, the Burles Bianchi GT Ferrari, was trying desperately to catch Gurney's Cobra, leading the category and 4th overall. A Charlie Chaplin walk brings a touch of comedy to the Triumph pit, but this should be the last scheduled stop and the atmosphere is tense. The car looks all right, feels all right, smells all right, though David Hobbs doesn't seem to think so. This time their master's voice is heard, and Hobbs leaps eagerly and literally back into the race for the last time. Controlling an excited crowd of around 300,000 people is no small undertaking, particularly on the continent. The French gendarmerie are experienced, highly efficient, and well equipped. If you want to know the time, ask a policeman. But here, there's no need. When this lot march, there's 10 minutes left of the race. Lyndon Mills calculates they'll just get in 2 more laps. But each of these dying minutes can seem an hour long. And there he goes, and they've made it. 271 laps, 3,658.61 kilometers is the official distance. 2,273 miles at 94.7 miles an hour for 24 hours. A superb performance. To Vaccarella and Guichet, all honor for their victory, and of their second place, Graham Hill and Joe Bonnier may well be proud. France wins the handicap as usual, so everyone's happy. And Triumph are proud to be one of the 4 all-British cars to finish in the total of only 24 from the 55 who started. There's no need to ask for a smile, please, for the camera. For David Hobbs, Robbie Slaughtermarker, and the Triumph Spitfire have distinguished themselves. Everyone associated with the venture can claim a share of the congratulations. For Triumph at Le Mans is triumph indeed.